go ahead and call to order the regular meeting of the Park Ridge City Council for Monday, May 15th. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor Maloney,
Here.
Moran,
Here.
Alderman Melissus, Alderman Wilkening,
Here.
Alderman Schubert,
Here.
Alderman Meladosian,
Here.
Alderman Mazuka,
Here.
all present but Alderman Melissus.
Thank you. And I'd like to, at this point, call up Ben McCarrick from Troop 50 to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ben, if you could come right up here in front of me, and then we're going to say the pledge there. We have three sets of minutes to approve this evening. First up is I'll entertain a motion to approve the regular city council meeting minutes from May 1st, 2017.
So moved. Second.
Corrections or changes? Seeing none, out to the audience. Any comments on these set of minutes? Seeing none, back to council for final comment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the Committee of the Whole meeting on May 8th, 2017.
So moved. Second.
Questions or corrections? Seeing none, out to the audience. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And finally, I will entertain a motion to approve the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes from April 24th, 2017.
So moved. Second.
I don't
Questions?
think I can vote on them, right?
You can, well,
Oh, I've read them, but I wasn't on the board. Okay, okay, thank you.
any other questions? Seeing none, out to the audience. And back to council. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move on to reports of city officials. First up is the mayor's report, and we have a couple of things to do down at the podium. So I'm going to go down there, and I would ask that Judy Barkley join me at the podium. Okay, so we have a couple of things. Judy and I have a couple of things to do. First up is I have a proclamation in recognition of National Historic Preservation Month, May 2017. And then Judy has some award winners to announce tonight, which I believe we have some folks here for. So we'll go through this as quickly as we can. But this is a proclamation in recognition of National Historic Preservation Month, which is May 2017. Whereas 2017 marks the 51st anniversary of the National Historic Preservation Act, and whereas one of the key provisions of the Act created the National Register of Historic Places as we know it today, the nation's official list of cultural resources worthy of preservation. And whereas the National Register represents the tangible legacy of history throughout the country, from archaeological sites to commercial districts, and from grand landmarks to modest roadside diners. And whereas the Historic Preservation Commission of the City of Park Ridge encourages and inspires an ongoing dialogue about the importance of place and preservation in all our lives and in our community that lasts far beyond the month of May. And whereas This Place Matters is a national campaign that encourages people to celebrate the places that are most meaningful to them and to their communities. And whereas the City of Park Ridge's Historic Preservation Commission is proud to educate the students in our great community regarding the importance of its history. Now therefore, I, Marty Maloney, Mayor of the City of Park Ridge in the County of Cook and State of Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of May as Historic Preservation Month in the City of Park Ridge, and encourage all residents, young and old, to learn more about the City of Park Ridge and its history that has led it to become a great city to live and to work, and one filled with fascinating history. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Park Ridge to be affixed this 15th day of May, 2017.
poster contest for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, and it's called This Place Matters. And we asked our young people to draw something that matters to them as far as our community. And our first winner is our 3rd grade, Nevanor Mazad. Would you come up here, please, and show everyone your beautiful poster? Our next winner is Lucy McNally. Oh, excuse me. She's from Field School. And she drew P&L Studios, in case you can't see it back there. The 4th grade winner is Lucy McNally. She's from St. Andrew's School, and she did a drawing of City Hall. Our 5th grade winner is Tyler DeMott of St. Paul of the Cross, and he has a drawing of the Pickwick Theater.
Our favorite theater.
And we had a great number of posters coming this year, and these are 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade winners. They were selected from all the posters that have come in, and we are very proud of them. And we're hoping that the middle one becomes a historic landmark as the other two are already. City Hall. So, has everybody got their photos in? I want to thank all of our sponsors who provided the prizes for the children. Jason's Deli, Chamber of Commerce, Advocate Lutheran, Village Bank, Nona Sylvia's, the Pickwick Theater, Taylor Foundation E&LE Studios, the Historical Society, Gilda Joe's, Fannie Mae Candies, and Panino's. And I want to remind everybody, shop local. Thank you.
Before I let Judy get away, I wanted to, Judy is the chair of our Historic Preservation Commission. A couple of things, I know there are some other members maybe here as well. If you wanna-
Yeah.
And then if you want to share,
And Roger's our liaison.
yes, and if you want to maybe share with the group here what it is the Historic Preservation Commission does and how long, you've been chair, I think, for
7 years.
7
Ever,
years. I
since
believe,
its
Since its
inception.
inception, so
Yes.
maybe share with the group
Forever.
what the Historic Preservation Commission does. And
Okay. As I mentioned before, 2 of the drawings are actually landmarks. The Historic Preservation Commission looks at nominations of buildings and determines whether they meet the criteria, and if they do, we make a recommendation for landmark status, which we refer over to the City Council, who nominates them by ordinance, and they become official landmarks of Park Ridge. Right now, we have 12 landmarks. And if you go on the city website, you can look at all of them, and they have a description in there. And on June the 5th, we will be adding 3 more. Solomon Cottage, Waller Hall, and Emery from the park up on North Prospect. So we will have then 15 landmarks. And we're pretty proud of the work we've done. We do our poster contest. We do 100-year-old house recognition. We have done several recognitions of the Douglas home, the homes that, they're called Douglas homes, they were built during the war and immediately after for the Douglas aircraft plant. But if you go on our website, you can see them all. And thank you all for participating. Thank you, Marie.
Next on the agenda is a proclamation in honor of National Public Works Week, which is coming up May 21st. And I'm hesitant to do this because I know what a motley crew they are, but I'd like to invite up representatives for our Public Works group. So this is a proclamation in recognition of National Public Works Week, May 21st through 27th. Whereas public works services provided in our community are an integral part of our citizens' everyday lives. And whereas the support of an understanding and informed citizenry is vital to the efficient operations of public works systems and programs such as water, sewers, streets, and highways, public buildings, solid waste collection, and whereas the health, safety, and comfort of this community greatly depends on these facilities and services. And whereas the quality and effectiveness of these facilities, as well as their planning, design, and construction, is vitally dependent upon the efforts and skill of the public works officials. And whereas the efficiency of the qualified and dedicated personnel who staff the Public Works Department is materially influenced by the people's attitudes and understanding of the importance of the work they perform. Now therefore, I, Marty Maloney, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Park Ridge in the county of Cook, state of Illinois, do hereby proclaim the week of May 21st through the 2017 as National Public Works Week in the city of Park Ridge, and call upon citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. In witness whereof here, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Park Ridge to be affixed this 15th day of May, 2000.
As shy as I am, I'll say a few words tonight. I'm not prepared, of course. The city of Park Ridge is lucky to have this fine public works management team in place. Employees across the entire board care, work in the heat or cold, wet, with little or no sleep at a moment's notice. Nobody thinks about public works till that water doesn't run, the snow is flying, the sewers, the streets collapse, and we are there. The city should be proud of their Public Works Department and the awesome team they have become. I'd like to introduce Mark Miller, our Superintendent of Public Works, Brandon Nazer, our City Forester, Sarah Mitchell, our City Engineer, and William Cairns, our Engineer Tech. This is the heart and soul of Public Works, including all the employees that work day to day through the city. Thank you.
Proclamation in recognition of National Safe Boating Week. And I know we have a couple of folks, or a few folks in the audience that ask you to come on up. So this proclamation is in recognition of National Safe Boating Week. Whereas on average, 650 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the United States, and approximately 3/4 of these are fatalities caused by drowning. And whereas the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment, and not by the boat equipment or environmental factors. And whereas today's life jackets are more comfortable, more attractive, and more wearable than styles of years past. And whereas a significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they worn their life jackets. Now therefore, I, Marty Maloney, Mayor of the City of Park Ridge, do hereby support the goals of the North American Safe Boating Campaign, Wear It, and proclaim May 21st through the 27th, 2017 as National Safe Boating Week and the start of the year-round effort to promote safe boating. The witness whereof, I urge all those who boat to wear it and practice safe boating habits. I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Park Ridge to be affixed this 15th day of May, 2017.
Good evening. I am Charles Haig, Vice Commander of Flotilla 39-2 of the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary. Along with Mrs. Hasse and Mr. Jacobson, I would like to thank Mayor Baloney, Clerk Henneman, and the rest of the Park Ridge City Council for proclaiming the week of May 20th National Safe Boating Week. The Coast Guard Auxiliary is a civilian, volunteer uniformed component of the United States Coast Guard. Congress established the auxiliary on June 23, 1939. The auxiliary exists to support all Coast Guard missions except roles that require direct law enforcement or military engagement. The 32,000 members of the Coast Guard Auxiliary contribute more than 4.5 million hours of service every year, executing nearly 500,000 missions in support of the Coast Guard. Every year, auxiliaries help save approximately 500 lives, assist 15,000 distressed boaters, conduct more than 150,000 safety examinations of recreational vessels, and teach boating safety classes to more than 500,000 students. In total, the Coast Guard Auxiliary saves taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars every year. Your local flotilla, 3902, meets at the Prairie Lakes Community Center in Des Plaines, although our members come from all over the northwest suburbs. The flotilla is part of Division 39, which is in District 9 West. Our center of gravity is Coast Guard Station Wilmette. We perform free vessel safety examinations for any area residents on any boat, from a canoe to a yacht. And we teach boating safety classes in several local venues in this area. If you wish any further information about the auxiliary, please talk to myself or contact our flotilla through our website. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I would just like to say that this Saturday, the 20th, Station Wilmette Harbor is having an open house, and from what I understand, the kids will be able to go onto the boats, and they'll have all kinds of demonstrations and activities. Yeah, it's from 10 to 4.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next is, I would ask for a motion to approve adjournment to closed session pursuant to, can I do both? Okay. A motion to approve to closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees in question. The person we're referring to here is Acting City Manager Gilmore, as well as 5 ILCS 120/2C3, selection of person to fill public office.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, out to the audience. Any questions or comment on this motion to go into closed session at the conclusion of our meeting? Back to council for comment. And can I ask for a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Alderman Moran,
Yes.
Alderman Wilkening,
Yes.
Schubert,
Yes.
Philadosian,
Yes.
Bazooka.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. That concludes the mayor's report. We'll move on to city council.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
City attorney.
No report.
Thank you. City clerk.
City Clerk would like to remind all the aldermen that Memorial Day is just around the corner, and we'd like to be present for that occasion. We march in the parade, as you probably all know, at least some of you have done it many times before, and we meet at the corner of Talcott and Cumberland, right at Nelson Funeral Home, to get organized and get in line. You're welcome to come. We'll have a sash for you that tells the world that you're an alderman, and especially for Gail. And we will be happy to see you there. Both Cheryl and I will be there in a car. Thank you. Be sure to show up. 9:45, we step off. We did just do that. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I just was pointed out that we had another closed session, which was previous, that we needed to vote on. We need to approve to adjourn to closed session to review and approve closed session minutes from April 24th of 2017 session pursuant to 5 ILCS 122 C3 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on that? Seeing none, out to the audience, any questions or comments on that motion? And seeing none, back to council. Roll call, please.
Okay. Alderman Wilkening.
Yes.
Alderman Schubert.
Yes.
Meladosian.
Yes.
Mazuka.
Yes.
Moran. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, moving on, city manager?
No report.
Thank you. Next is the consent agenda. All items listed with an asterisk are considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of those items unless an alderman so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Tonight's consent agenda is as follows. Under Public Works Committee, number 1, approve a 1-year extension to the contract for Elm Tree Injection Program, PW-FY17-02, to Robert Kinnican Tree Experts and Landscaping Company in the amount of $60,000. Number 2, approve a 1-year extension to the contract for tree and stump removal, PW-FY16-20, to Trees R Us Incorporated. Number 3, approve final reading of ordinance establishing the 2017 list for mandatory replacement of defective sidewalks. Under Public Safety Committee, number 1, approve a fiscal year 17 purchase order for the grant-related expenses with University of Illinois Office of Grants and Contracts in the amount up to $17,000. Under Finance and Budget Committee, number 1, approve fiscal year 17 warrants for period ending May 14th, 2017, in the amount of $912,044.23, reviewed by Alderman Moran. And number 2, approve fiscal year 18 warrants for period ending May 15th, 2017, in the amount of $325,374.78, also reviewed by Alderman Moran. Are there any questions or actually, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Thank you. Now, are there any questions or removals from the consent agenda? Seeing none. If anyone in the audience is here to speak on any of the items, the action items I just read, now would be the time to come up and speak on those, because we're not going to stop at the normal sequence, the normal spot on the agenda. Seeing none, back to council. Any final comment? Roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Alderman Schubert.
Yes.
Alderman Meladosian.
Yes.
Mazuka.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
And Wilkening.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes.
Thank you. Next is citizens who wish to address city council on a non-agenda item. So if you're here to speak on something not on the agenda, now would be the time. Yes, ma'am. Just come on up to the podium and introduce yourself if you like, and you're good to go.
Millie O'Brien, 946 North Prospect Avenue, actually the southwest corner of Prospect and Oakton. Although I have a Prospect Street address, my front door, back door, and driveway are on Oakton Street. And I'm here actually because of the poor service I received from the Public Works Director, and also as a concerned citizen with some rights, even though the parkway does not belong to me. I have to tell you, on April 10th, that morning, there was a truck blocking my driveway on Oakton, and a truck with an unknown name on it. I don't even recall what the name was. And they were digging up, 3 men were digging up my parkway. I went out to find out they had no ID, no identification. They told me they had permission. Later, I found out they were hired by ComEd, but I thought it was a scam. So I immediately went in and called the city. Bridget answered, and I told her that I had to ask a police officer to come over, because I think these 3 men were pulling a scam on me. She said she'd she'd find out what it was or whatever. So apparently she contacted Public Works, because then I got a call from Cheryl Peterson saying that Public Works was contacted, and I would hear from them. I never heard from them, never. So anyway, a couple of hours go by, now ComEd is in front of my house. So I go out there, I recognize the truck, and they're putting up an electric pole. I have to tell you, I live on the corner, I've been there 52 years, I've never had any complaints. I know when we bought the house on Oakton what to expect. I have a stoplight on my corner, and when we moved there, I had one electric pole at the end of my property. Since we've been there, a second electric pole right in front of my front door. But I knew electricity was needed. I never had any complaints. Now they're putting a third electric pole in front of my house. So that's when I got a little concerned. Not only, okay, I know they had to do it, but I went out because they put it right next to my driveway. I have pictures here for all of, for everybody to look at. They put it right next to my driveway. I went out and said, can't you just move it just 5 feet further so I could pull out of my driveway? It prohibits me from, everybody knows how Oakton Street is.
Yeah,
I'm a
it's very
4-lane
busy.
highway. So finally, later in the afternoon, when I called 6 times, I called Public Works. Either got a recorder or a secretary that said Wayne would call me back. Finally, when I got a secretary after the 6th call, I insisted on talking to him. This is what he told me. Well, first of all, he did tell me that ComEd has the rights to the parkway. I know, but I have some rights too. As a citizen of Park Ridge, I would think they'd be fighting for my rights also. But anyway, I told him how I'm going to have such a hard time backing up. I usually back up because traffic is terrible. I usually back up onto the parkway and then pull forward. He said to me, why don't you back into your driveway?
Oh,
Now, has anybody tried to back into a garage on Oakton
on a
Street?
busy street, yes.
No, but anyway, so he was no help at all. But I'm here today put on record so that I don't have to worry about next year, am I gonna have a 4th electric pole on my property? I mean, there has to be some end, there has to be a right of a citizen, even though we have parkways that, and I never complained before. I can't tell you how many times I'm blocked into my driveway because Edison has to work on the poles. I understand that. But never did I get a notice from the city, and I didn't expect from ComEd, although I could have, but no, I never expected anything from, but the city never notified me. I think this all could have been resolved if I would have gotten either a notification from the city and we would have found out where they were putting the pole, or if the Public Works Director would have come out when I first called, when they were digging the hole. I mean, I have a grandson who is an electrical engineer, and he said by the time Edison got there, those guys were not laborers, they were electrical engineers. There was no way they were going to dig another hole for you. So I just want to go on record for that and make sure that doesn't happen again. And I was very disappointed with the service I got. I'm on a few committees, and every committee that I'm on, whether it's the Healthy Committee or the Human Needs, they talk about the service that Park Ridge gives to its seniors. Well, I'll tell you, I didn't have any of that service that day, and I'm a senior, and I've been here a long time. So I was very disappointed, and hopefully that it would be resolved, and I'll be on record for that. Thank you. And I do have the pictures for,
If you give them to Paul, he can get them passed around.
Did the representative, I was told the representative from ComEd was gonna stop by and actually ring your doorbell and talk. Did anybody ever
nope,
do
I
that?
never received anything before, nothing after, no calls after. I'm sorry that, I did call my alderman, I called the mayor that day. And John did return my call in the afternoon, but he's at work, he doesn't know what's going on. And Marty called me the next day, and the same thing. He actually didn't know what was happening either. But by this time, it was done with, and they were not gonna change it after they had it up. And they continued to work all that week, which, I mean, I've had that kind of work done before, that didn't bother me. What bothered me is Public Works didn't come out and say, or didn't let me know ahead of time, that they were gonna be putting another pole on the property. So now I have the stoplight, 3 electric poles, and I don't know what is next, but I think I have a right as a citizen to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Joan Sandrick, 5th Ward. In 2012, I served on the sign task force. I think it's time to revisit that. It's been 5 years. We are still looking at Greenwood and Toohey with this ugly blank sign. There has to be some way that either Dunkin' Donuts can be allowed to put up a temporary sign with the understanding that when this comes down, which apparently is based on the cleaners being there, that their sign would have to come down. But I can't believe that 5 years later, this is still going on. There is an empty sign pole at Toohey and Cumberland. Bailey's was torn down probably 5 or 6 years ago, yet this blank sign still stands. Again, there has to be some way to get rid of this. If our sign ordinance is written such that they need to leave this so that the next person who builds on that property can use that sign, that's just silly. The building's down. Get rid of that. The gas stations are notorious. They have their signs, and then they go and put temporary banners around those. The 7-Eleven at Devon and Cortland has a big sign, again, with a temporary. And then my personal unfavorite, we talked a lot about electronic message boards. I distinctly remember Alderman Mazuka saying that he so disliked the electronic message sign at St. Tecla's when he drove by it. I happen to agree with him. It is not particularly attractive to me. I also don't like the new electronic message sign at St. Juliana's. However, they don't have to be that way. They can be limited in size and scope, and I would a lot rather see that than what is in Hodges Park now. These poles that aren't even the same size, with banners strung between them, are an embarrassment. And one other sign clutter, the stop signs on Cortland Avenue at Belle Plaine have a red blinking light, the stop sign, a sign that says all stop, a bike route sign, and a stop means stop sign. Now, how ridiculous is that? I think it's pretty ridiculous. If you're going to put all that garbage on the sign, put up a stoplight. I think it's time to revisit this. I think it's time to rethink the idea of electronic message boards. As I say, they can be done neatly. They can be done limited in size, in scope, in the amount of illumination. So I would urge this council to revisit this, and let's clean up town. It's really getting messy looking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Any other citizens wishing to address the council on a non-agenda item? Yes, ma'am.
Sparger, 413 Cortland, and as long as we're talking signs, what about the street signs that are on those cheap silver poles with all the holes on them? A very elegant, dignified look to Park Ridge. It looks like somebody got it at Home Depot and just stuck it in there and screwed some signs in. We could probably do better with some kind of a metal arrangement to do our street signs where we don't have the cement posts than that pole. But my main question tonight is that I had to take Western home from work today, and I noticed that the treehouse and its associating deck and whatever is still up in that backyard. The judge's decision came down February 9th. It's now May 15th. So I was wondering, Mr. Mayor, if you could find out and ask Mr. Brown this evening why that treehouse is still up when we're in May. And the ZBA, the judge upheld the city's position that Howard Kapari was correct in requiring that that structure be removed. If you
Jim,
could
is
ask.
there a plan to,
They have a building permit in to bring it into compliance with the zoning and building codes.
say that one more time?
There is a permit in, they have submitted an application, it's currently under review, to bring the structure into compliance with the zoning and building codes.
Thank you.
They're going to leave it up? How do you bring that deck into compliance?
Well, the whole height, the structure itself will be 12 feet. That's our
And they're
height
going to
for
move the
playground
tree
equipment.
10 feet from the house?
And that's being moved as well.
The tree?
No, not the tree, the structure itself will be 10 feet from the principal structure.
And the side, it's going to be removed from that side yard?
I'm sorry,
It'll be removed from its position now with no deck. Is that, because I thought a deck had to be attached to a house.
No, it's not really a deck.
No, it's gonna be
It's part of the playground structure. So the overall height is being lowered, and the location in proximity to the principal structure is being adjusted.
Oh, okay. So that judge saying that the city had every right to ask it to be removed doesn't really count, but the site plan for 400 Talcott is indisputable. Makes me question things.
Any other citizens wishing to address the council on, yes?
Missy Langen, 1924 Canfield. I'm a member of the ZBA who voted on upholding the zoning administrator's decision to have that treehouse removed.
Missy, could you move, all the windows are open, we have a fan, it's a little hard to hear.
Okay.
Sorry.
Is
Thank
that better? Okay. We were forwarded the judge's decision on that case, and my recollection, and if I had known, I would have printed it out and brought it with me, but I'm sure Ms. Tappendorf, somewhere, not tonight, but has a copy of that judge's order. That judge's order was to remove that structure. Treehouses are not allowed in our zoning ordinance. I can't imagine right now what they could possibly be doing to bring it into compliance when we don't allow them. The only thing I think that would bring it into compliance would be a text amendment to ask if treehouses could be put into the zoning ordinance. So I feel a little frustration right now because I think we spent a great deal of money on litigation on this particular case, and I don't know what they're bringing into compliance. If what they're bringing into compliance is a treehouse, there is no way to bring a treehouse into compliance. They're not allowed. That was what we did. That was the determination that we came to at ZBA. That is what the judge's ruling backed us up and said the ZBA was correct in their interpretation of the zoning ordinance that did not allow treehouses. So unless they're building a shed, I don't know what is being brought into compliance. I'm a little confused. So if we could, I don't need an answer tonight, but it is something we need to look into. Thank you.
Any other citizens wishing to address the council? Seeing none, we'll move on with the rest of the agenda to reports of boards, commissions, and committees. We start with planning and zoning.
No report. Oh, sorry. You're here now. Go for it.
I'm here now. Yeah, the Planning and Zoning Board met, and there's discussion about a project on Higgins Road at the Mr. K's Garden Center. A plan was presented for a townhouse project, and as it stands, it's nowhere near in any way, shape, or form near code, and there's many things that need to be changed on that plan. But the discussion has started. I forget, it was 1440 Higgins or something. It was at the Mr. K's, where the Mr. K's Garden Center is. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Zoning Board of Appeals now, Alderman Moran.
No report.
Thank you. Liquor License Review Board, there is no report of substance. We are trying to schedule a meeting soon. We're waiting for a potential new application to come in. Once that happens, we'll be scheduling a meeting, but no report as of this evening. O'Hare Airport Commission, Alderman Mazuka.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Historic Preservation, stand-in Alderman Schubert for now, right?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So a couple things. First of all, just on behalf of the City Council, just congratulations again to the poster winners from this evening. As Judy Barkley mentioned earlier, the landmark applications for Prospect Park will be coming back to the City Council for our next full meeting on June 5th. And also wanted to mention on Memorial Day, there is an interpretive plaque which has been ordered and will be basically commemorated on Memorial Day for the American Legion Memorial at South Park that the Spirit of 45 Committee had dedicated back in August of 2015. So there's a brief ceremony there. Everyone's invited, including all elected officials, and that'll be at 9:30 a.m., obviously not to conflict with the start of the parade at 10 a.m. And that concludes my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Procedures and Regulations Committee, Alderman Wilkening.
No report.
Thank you. Public Works, Alderman Moran.
One announcement this evening, I was given, this is a flyer for the Suburban Cook County Residential Resilience Program that addresses folks who've had flooding in their home during April or May of 2013 when we had those big floods come through. I have seen some chatter on the internet pages. There are income, you have to qualify income level, you can't have had any FEMA money come to already fix your problem. There are a lot of restrictions, but there may be some folks out there who haven't addressed their flooding issues that experienced water and can prove that they experienced water in April, May 2013. If so, I'd recommend that you go to the Northwest Housing Partnership website, nwhp.net, or come into City Hall and you can pick up one of these flyers. Thank you.
Thank you. Public Safety Committee, Alderman Milidosian.
No action items. I am happy to report, though, this Saturday I'll be taking or participating in Fire Ops 101, where I will be donning on a turnout coat and going through some training exercises and some training fires. The only thing getting in the way between now and then is the fire department finding a pair of pants that will fit me, but I have my faith that they'll come through. Everything else fits.
Very good. Thank you. Finance and Budget, Alderman Mazuka.
No additional report, Mr. Mayor.
Sorry?
No additional report.
Okay, thank you. New business.
Mayor, one item of new business. Since you've been so kind in the past to procure candy for the Memorial Day Parade, I was wondering if on behalf of the council you might be doing that this
I
year?
think Cheryl's going to take care of
Oh,
it.
you did it last year. Did a great job. Will you be doing it again this year?
Yes, we'll be making a run to Sam's Club and securing some candy for the aldermen.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And dog bones.
Would there, I was just going to say, would there be any objection if I brought milk bones? In the past, when I have walked in parades
Oh, you can.
for
We do that.
many years, I always
We throw them too.
gave milk bones to our canine citizens along the route. So
There are a lot of
there's
them,
no
too.
objection, I will be doing that again.
I think you'll be, I think you're good with that.
Be like gluten-free and nut-free in case.
Oh, please, don't start.
Yes, thank you. I have one announcement. Our kickoff for our new softwares this week. The consultant team will be in starting tomorrow. There's a presentation where all the staff will be there, so Community Preservation and Development Department, including the Building Department, will be closed until 1 o'clock tomorrow. Just like to announce that for anyone watching. And we'll be on reduced staff until Friday. We'll go back to
Okay,
full
since you
staff.
brought it up, new software, what will that software do? How will it make your department run more efficiently? How will residents benefit?
Well, I don't want to get anyone overly excited because this is just the kickoff, and this is be 9 months down the road when it's fully implemented.
I understand.
9 months or so. I think there's a tremendous amount of efficiencies that the software will bring. Eventually, we'll get to more online applications, a public portal where people will be able to check the status online of various permits. The inspectors in the field will be using tablets to send their reports in. That will be instantaneous, so when they go out and do an inspection, that will be done immediately. Quite often, they're out in the field, and that report is not entered into the computer until the next day. So we have a contractor or homeowner wanting to know whether they passed the inspection, or if they failed, why they failed. So that's done instantaneously. The applicant will get an email, come back to our office, we'll be able to handle phone calls. From a management perspective, I think it just brings it'd be a wonderful tool for a variety of metrics for us to predict certain trends and shift resources accordingly. So right now, we battle between plan review and in-field inspections. Pretty much the same people do those. So we'll be able to, I think, stay on top of that a little more and plan things out. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I understand that it's a kickoff is tomorrow.
It's the kickoff.
What's the anticipated, again, I don't know if you go live or final rollout, how long of a implementation process are you forecasting?
The kickoff is they do demonstrations, they talk to us about our procedures, they go back and they kind of modify the software, it's semi-customizable. Come back, probably within 2 months, we'll start some training. Probably the big first gate will be the data conversion, when we take our current software and we pull all of that data out and dump it into the new software. That never goes smooth, there'll be issues with that, but once we're over that hurdle, then we'll pick a day where the system itself will go live internally, and then eventually we'll go live with the public portal. That whole process, going live internally to public portal is probably 8 to 12 months out.
Is the vendor doing, I understand staff will be obviously living and using the software when it's fully implemented, but as far as the implementation work, the data conversion work, are we relying on the vendor to do the lion's share of that work?
The data conversion, I think they're going to be heavily involved in that. We've taken a train-the-trainer approach, so they're going to come out and kind of really focus on selected people within the department. Everyone will get trained, but there'll be certain people who have more training. The good news is, to cut down on travel budgets, the consultant that we have actually lives in Chicago. So her travel costs will be very, very minimal. So.
Okay, so, all right, then one last question, I promise, maybe. Specific to the data conversion, is your staff doing that, or is IT doing that, or is the vendor doing it?
That will probably be between IT and the vendor.
Okay, all right.
I don't think it will be heavily involved with anyone on my staff.
Okay. Any questions?
When I've done this twice before, at least that's the way it's turned out, that the staff itself
Aren't you
is
glad
not
you made that
heavily
announcement?
heavily involved in it.
All right, you good?
Yes.
All right, well, Axel, we will anxiously await the go-live, and if there's anything you need from council to make sure that we either hit the target dates or perhaps can get there sooner, I assume you'll let city manager know, and he will come to us, and if there's more resources that you need, you'll let us know.
Yep.
Any other new business? Then I will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we'll take a 5-minute recess, then we'll re-adjourn in closed session.